The Gila monster. The story of the modern weight loss revolution begins not in a high-tech laboratory, but in the arid deserts of the American Southwest with a reclusive, venomous lizard. In the early 1990s, endocrinologist Dr. John Eng, working at a Bronx VA medical center, makes a pivotal discovery while studying the venom of the Gila monster. He identifies a powerful peptide within the venom called exendin-4, which bears a striking resemblance to a human gut hormone known as GLP-1. This hormone is a critical regulator of the body's entire metabolic health system, influencing everything from blood sugar to satiety. Because the lizard only eats a few times a year, its venom contains a compound that optimizes digestion with incredible efficiency, a biological mechanism that would soon capture the attention of the entire pharmaceutical industry. This reptilian peptide mimics human GLP-1, but possesses one crucial advantage. It resists the rapid degradation that renders the human version effective for only a few minutes. Exendin-4, therefore, remains active in the human body for hours, creating a prolonged and powerful effect on insulin secretion and appetite suppression. For the U.S. market, this represented the ultimate biological hack, a naturally sourced code that could efficiently optimize a failing metabolic system, a concept that deeply resonates with an individualistic culture focused on performance. Meanwhile, for a European audience traditionally skeptical of quick fixes, the discovery posed a complex question about natural sourcing, as this potent substance derived from nature challenged the boundary between a traditional remedy and a powerful pharmaceutical intervention. This single, durable peptide, discovered in lizard venom, provides the foundational blueprint for an entirely new class of drugs designed to treat type 2 diabetes. Diabetes breakthrough. The abstract science of lizard venom translates directly into a revolutionary therapeutic tool as the U.S. Food and Drug Administration officially authorizes Byetta, the brand name for exenatide, in 2005. This approval marks a pivotal moment in the management of type 2 diabetes, offering a novel mechanism that goes beyond traditional treatments. The new drug works as a twice-daily injection that powerfully improves the body's own insulin response and lowers key biomarkers like HbA1c levels, transforming the landscape of chronic disease care. For millions of Americans navigating the complexities of poor metabolic health, Byetta represents an efficient and potent new weapon in their arsenal. The primary function of the drug is explicit and targeted. It is a game-changing intervention for glycemic control, not a weight management solution. As a result of the FDA's decision, the drug becomes a frontline treatment in the United States, a market that readily embraces technological and pharmaceutical solutions to widespread health crises like the diabetes epidemic. In Europe, where the European Medicines Agency would soon follow with its own authorization, the adoption of the drug is met with a more measured public health discussion. It is viewed as a significant advancement, yet it enters a healthcare culture that often prioritizes lifestyle interventions and traditional diets as the first line of defense against metabolic dysfunction. The debate was less about its efficacy and more about its place in the overall treatment's hierarchy. However, across both continents, clinicians prescribing the twice-daily injection begin reporting a consistent and powerful secondary effect, an unintended consequence that was observed during clinical trials but not established as a primary benefit. The weight loss surprise. The consistent anecdotal reports from clinicians soon culminate in staggering clinical data that cannot be ignored. As pharmaceutical companies refine the GLP-1 formula, a major study by manufacturer Novo Nordisk on its next-generation drug, semaglutide, reveals a truly remarkable outcome. The research demonstrates that non-diabetic participants lose an average of 15% of their total body weight over a 68-week period. This figure is monumental because it far exceeds the typical results from diet and exercise alone, signaling a paradigm shift in medical weight management. Crucially, the primary endpoint for these initial trials remains focused on metrics related to metabolic health and glucose control. The dramatic weight reduction, therefore, is technically classified as a secondary benefit, a powerful side effect of a drug designed for something else entirely. This single statistic immediately bifurcates the drug's identity and creates a transatlantic divide in perspective. In the United States, a market driven by quantifiable results and performance, the 15% number becomes the main event, instantly reframing the drug as the most effective weight loss technology ever developed. It represents a powerful, individualistic solution that promises efficiency and a radical transformation that diet culture has long failed to deliver. Meanwhile, European public health bodies analyze the same data with cautious optimism, calculating the immense potential benefit of reducing obesity-related strain on national healthcare systems. This wasn't just about individual weight loss anymore. It was about preventing costly chronic diseases on a mass scale. The officially documented side effect was now poised to become the drug's celebrated and highly profitable primary purpose. Ozempic Nation. The cultural tipping point arrives in 2017, when the FDA authorizes Novo Nordisk's refined once-weekly semaglutide injection under the brand name Ozempic, specifically for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. This new approval, however, serves as the launchpad for an entirely different phenomenon, ignited by Hollywood celebrities and high-profile influencers who begin publicizing their off-label use for rapid weight loss. This practice, where physicians prescribe a drug for a condition it isn't officially approved for, transforms Ozempic from a medical necessity into a luxury lifestyle product. As a result, public perception shifts almost overnight, and the demand for this highly effective weight loss hack begins its meteoric rise, driven by a powerful desire for aesthetic perfection and performance optimization. By 2022, this celebrity-fueled frenzy triggers a full-blown market crisis, as consumer demand completely outstrips the global supply, leading to critical shortages across the United States. This leaves many diabetic patients, the very people the drug was developed for, unable to fill their prescriptions and manage their chronic disease effectively. The situation exposes the staggering financial disparity in the American healthcare system, as the uninsured cost for Ozempic climbs to over $900 per month. In essence, it became a new status symbol, a visible sign of wealth displayed through rapid body transformation. This high price point stands in stark contrast to the situation in Europe, where national health systems negotiate significantly lower costs, making the drug an accessible treatment rather than a luxury good. With millions of new users now taking this potent medication, the full spectrum of its physiological impact begins to emerge on an unprecedented scale. The common culprits. With the explosion in widespread use, a clear and consistent pattern of adverse effects emerges from the millions of new patients. The most frequently discussed side effects are gastrointestinal, and the clinical data is unambiguous. Published studies report that nausea affects up to 44% of users, making it an extremely common experience. This is often accompanied by other forms of significant digestive distress, as high rates of diarrhea, vomiting, and constipation are also officially documented across patient populations. These symptoms are not an accident, but a direct and intended consequence of the drug's core mechanism, which fundamentally alters the gut's natural rhythm by slowing down gastric emptying to prolong satiety signals. The powerful appetite suppression, therefore, is achieved by inducing a state of digestive disruption. These are the well-known side effects that doctors warn about and that users discuss openly in forums, often framing them as the price of admission for achieving significant weight loss. From a U.S. perspective, focused on performance and results, many users rationalize this period of discomfort as a temporary trade-off, necessary to achieve a specific quantifiable goal. In contrast, the European wellness philosophy, which often prioritizes holistic well-being and natural function, questions the long-term sustainability of a treatment that chronically compromises a patient's quality of life. It forces a direct conflict between the metric of weight loss and the feeling of daily wellness. While these symptoms often decrease over time for most people, a troubling question arises from a subset of users for whom the discomfort persists, raising concerns about whether this intentional digestive slowdown can lead to a more severe and lasting complication. Gastric paralysis. The concern over digestive slowdown escalates dramatically when common discomfort gives way to a severe and frightening diagnosis. In September 2023, this risk becomes formally recognized as the U.S. Food and Drug Administration mandates an update to the drug's official label, adding a specific warning for ileus. Ileus, a form of gastroparesis, is a condition where the muscles of the gut essentially become paralyzed, rendering the digestive system unable to contract and move food forward. This official FDA action gives credence to a growing number of patient reports and subsequently triggers a wave of lawsuits across the United States. These legal filings allege that the drug caused severe and persistent gastroparesis, with some plaintiffs reporting horrifying incidents of vomiting whole, undigested food eaten 1 or 2 days earlier. This development highlights a key difference in regulatory philosophy between the United States and Europe. The American system often relies on post-market surveillance and consumer-driven litigation to bring these severe adverse events to light, making the FDA warning a critical tool for consumer protection. Meanwhile, European health authorities like the EMA monitor the same data, but typically within a precautionary framework that prioritizes systemic public health guidance to prevent widespread issues. The very mechanism that makes the drug work, slowing the stomach, is now alleged to have gone too far, completely breaking the digestive process in some users. This forces a chilling reevaluation of the drug's safety profile and raises a crucial, unanswered question. Is severe gastric paralysis an incredibly rare side effect, or is it a vastly underreported complication of this powerful medication? Muscle mass loss. Beyond the immediate distress in the gut, a more insidious side effect emerges that fundamentally alters a user's body composition and long-term metabolic health. Detailed analyses from studies and clinical observations reveal an alarming fact. Up to 40% of the total weight shed while using these drugs can be precious lean muscle mass. This figure is profoundly concerning because it is significantly higher than the 20 to 25% muscle loss typically seen with conventional weight loss methods like diet and exercise. This accelerated muscle wasting can trigger a condition known as sarcopenic obesity, where a person appears thin but has a high percentage of body fat and a dangerously low level of muscle. The ultimate result is a state of being skinny fat, which carries hidden risk for inflammation and poor metabolic function. This disproportionate loss of muscle creates a direct conflict with the core health goals of both American and European users, though for slightly different reasons. In the United States, where the focus is often on performance, biohacking, and achieving a lean physique, sacrificing up to 40% of muscle undermines the entire endeavor, as it actively decreases strength and athletic capacity. Meanwhile, this fact raises major concerns in Europe, where wellness philosophies strongly emphasize functional fitness and longevity. You are effectively trading functional strength for a lower body weight, compromising your future vitality. losing so much muscle mass directly compromises long-term mobility and health span, a trade-off that many find unacceptable. This rapid loss of structural, healthy tissue is not confined to the body's frame, as it becomes starkly visible in a user's face. Ozempic face. This same process of rapid, indiscriminate weight loss also visibly impacts the face, leading to a phenomenon that dermatologists and media outlets quickly label Ozempic face. The drug accelerates the depletion of critical subcutaneous fat pads in the cheeks and under the eyes, which provide the face with its structure and youthful volume. As a result, users often experience a sudden hollowing of their features, causing the skin to sag and wrinkles to appear more prominent, creating a gaunt and prematurely aged look. This triggers a secondary market boom, as cosmetic dermatologists across the United States report a massive influx of patients seeking thousands of dollars in dermal fillers and other procedures to restore the volume the drug has stripped away. While often dismissed as a purely aesthetic issue, this transformation carries a significant psychological impact, as users find themselves unhappy with their new, older-looking reflection. This creates a deeply ironic and costly cycle for the American consumer, who might pay a premium for the drug only to spend even more correcting its visible side effects. The very solution they bought for self-improvement creates a brand new problem to be solved. In Europe, this effect is often viewed through a more critical lens, as an outward sign of an unnatural, unhealthy process that contradicts a cultural appreciation for graceful aging. The entire phenomenon forces a difficult debate about vanity and health, but the concerns over facial changes are merely surface level when compared to the much more serious risks hidden deeper within the body. Thyroid cancer. Perhaps the most alarming side effect is not discovered through user reports, but is displayed directly on the drug's packaging. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration mandates its most severe safety notification, a black box warning, for this entire class of medications. This warning is based on preclinical data from rodent studies, where the drugs were observed to cause a dose-dependent and treatment duration-dependent increase in thyroid C-cell tumors, including medullary thyroid carcinoma. While the risk of developing these tumors in humans is officially listed as unknown, the strength of the animal data compels regulators to issue this highest level of caution. The possibility of a link to cancer, however, uncertain, fundamentally reframes the drug's risk profile from a matter of comfort to one of mortal danger. This profound concern is not isolated to the United States, creating a rare moment of complete regulatory alignment with European health authorities. The European Medicines Agency, or EMA, echoes the FDA's position by issuing its own strong cautionary advice regarding the potential risk of medullary thyroid carcinoma to doctors and patients across its member states. A black box warning is the most serious alert the FDA can issue short of pulling a drug off the market entirely. This transatlantic consensus elevates the thyroid cancer risk beyond a regional issue, confirming it as a globally recognized and serious possibility that hangs over the long-term use of these drugs. Unfortunately, the thyroid is not the only internal organ that has come under scrutiny for its reaction to this powerful medication. Pancreatitis risk. In addition to the thyroid, post-market surveillance data reveals a concerning pattern of distress in another vital metabolic organ, the pancreas. Multiple observational studies analyzing large patient databases consistently link the use of GLP-1 agonists to a significantly heightened risk for developing acute pancreatitis. The clinical data quantifies this danger with alarming clarity, indicating that users of these medications face a risk that is approximately 3 times higher than those taking other types of diabetes drugs. This condition is defined as a sudden and intensely painful inflammation of the pancreas, which can be severe enough to require hospitalization and in some cases can prove to be fatal. This particular side effect creates a profound metabolic paradox that is viewed differently on each side of the Atlantic. The pancreas is the very organ responsible for producing insulin and regulating blood sugar. So, a drug designed to improve metabolic health that also actively harms it presents a serious contradiction. For an American audience focused on individual risk assessment, the threefold increase in risk becomes a stark number to weigh against the drug's performance benefits. It becomes a high-stakes gamble with a vital organ. Meanwhile, from a European public health perspective, this highlights a systemic concern about whether a treatment that can cause such severe inflammation truly aligns with the holistic, long-term vision of patient well-being. This danger to the pancreas reveals that the drug's impact can cascade, with other critical organs also facing significant, albeit indirect, risk. Kidney failure. The drug's potent effects on the gut can initiate a dangerous cascade failure that impacts other vital organs, most notably the kidneys. Post-market case reports and adverse event data reveal a clear link between GLP-1 use and acute kidney injury, a condition of rapid renal deterioration. This is not a direct pharmacological assault on the organ, but rather a severe secondary consequence of the common gastrointestinal side effects. The persistent vomiting and diarrhea that many users experience can lead to a state of chronic dehydration and critical electrolyte imbalance, which places extreme stress on the entire renal system. This danger is especially pronounced for the significant population of users who have pre-existing or undiagnosed chronic kidney disease, for whom even moderate fluid loss can trigger a catastrophic decline in function. This chain reaction represents one of the most insidious risks because it connects what many consider a manageable side effect to a life-threatening organ failure. For the American user, this complicates the simple risk-reward calculation, as the acceptable cost of nausea could unexpectedly trigger a far more severe consequence elsewhere in the body. The drug doesn't need to directly target the kidneys to cause damage, it simply needs to disrupt the gut's fluid balance. From a European public health perspective, this outcome serves as a powerful validation of a holistic approach, demonstrating that a targeted pharmaceutical intervention can create profound systemic instability. This systemic depletion is not limited to essential fluids, as the drug's primary mechanism on appetite can lead to an equally dangerous starvation of essential nutrients. Malnutrition mystery. The same powerful appetite suppression that drives weight loss can be so overwhelmingly effective that it creates a new and insidious problem: malnutrition. The drug's potent impact on satiety signals can diminish a user's interest in food to such a degree that their daily intake of essential vitamins and nutrients falls far below the threshold needed for healthy biological function. This systemic nutrient deficiency often manifests in a very visible and distressing way, as many users report significant hair loss, a condition known as telogen effluvium, which is a classic sign of the body being under severe physiological stress. As a result of this now common complication, many doctors in the US and Europe proactively prescribe high-dose multivitamins as a mandatory companion to the GLP-1 injection. This situation creates a deep pharmaceutical paradox, perfectly captured by the idea of a drug that saves you from one disease by giving you another. For the American user focused on optimizing their body, this is a critical flaw in the system, where a drug that is supremely efficient at reducing calories simultaneously causes a nutritional deficit that requires a second intervention, supplements, to fix. It becomes a managed state of deficiency patched with pills. From a European wellness perspective, this is a stark validation of a holistic food-first philosophy, proving that lasting health cannot be achieved by chemically disconnecting from food, but must be derived from it. This new fragile equilibrium maintained by the drug and supplements begs the most important question of all for long-term health. What happens when the injections stop? The rebound effect. This state of managed dependency leads to the final, critical question. What happens when a user stops taking the drug? The clinical trial data on this point is unambiguous and sobering, coming from studies that followed participants for a year after they discontinued the medication. The research reveals a powerful rebound effect, demonstrating that patients on average regain approximately 2/3 of all the weight they had lost within just 12 months of their last injection. The powerful chemical signals that suppressed appetite and managed the gut microbiome disappear, causing hunger levels to return to their previous state, while the body's slowed metabolism makes rapid weight gain almost inevitable. This single reality fundamentally reframes the drug's role from a short-term solution into a lifelong chemical commitment. For the American consumer, this transforms a powerful biohacking tool into a permanent subscription service with a staggering potential cost of over $10,000 per year required to maintain the results. The efficiency of the weight loss is therefore countered by the inefficiency of a lifetime financial burden. For European public health systems, this underscores the inherent unsustainability of relying solely on a pharmaceutical fix for a lifestyle-driven condition and validates a cultural preference for addressing the root causes of poor metabolic health. Ultimately, the evidence shows that these drugs are not a cure, but a chronic management tool, where the profound costs, both biological and financial, never truly end.